What comes after the save meta? Let's talk about what's taking its place and what investments you should be making right now. Just remember, saves are not gone. They're just changing shape. Don't panic. I'm pulling this up briefly just to say I have been through all of these levels. This is not to say I'm a good player, because lots of people can rank well and not be good players, trust me. But I have seen a whole lot and continue to see a whole lot of the cross-section of what's going on, which is why we want to talk about Light Dark Season, because good lord, Embla has shaken things up, and I don't know that they will ever be the same. Now,
I'm begging you.
Summoners, listen. The meta had gotten so very stale, and we were using saves and Catria balls just over and over. I think this is a good sign for things to come, but listen, you're gonna have to come with options in Light Dark Season right now. Just be patient. In the long run, this is a good thing. It's just going to be frustrating for a few weeks. And seeing teams like this, where you have used Ithune 1,000 times, and suddenly she has not only feud, but save capped on everything. Summoners, I know this is going to be frustrating. Trust me, this is a good thing. Let's go ahead and hop on over to Gale Force though, and I want to look at the Gale Force Queen. Listen, for those of you who haven't built a Gale Force team, I know this can be daunting, but there are so many guides out there. Go check them out. Summer Edelgard is probably your best bet right now, but there are many options. So, the thing you want to look at here is how low an investment this took. This has very few merges on it, and Summers, they just absolutely clean my clock here. You're gonna want multiple teams to take on different threats. I would suggest at least 2 Gale Force teams have 2 very different styles. The ones I see a lot are Summer Edelgard and Summer Dimitri, but yeah. Understand as you go through this, the clears will take longer, but they're so satisfying to take on. Well, look at my Catria ball there and how entrenched it was and how this team is just running it over. Summoners, you've got this. Let's talk about another strategy, and this is one more up my alley, and this is Vantage. The problem with Vantage as opposed to Gale Force is Vantage has one very clear counter, and that's Hardy Bearing. It's not used a whole lot though, and we've just gotten Brave Camilla and seen all of the wonderful things she does. And for this team in particular, I mean, just made this look easy. And this was a fairly beefy team to go up against, something standard that you've probably seen just a ton of. Now, don't forget special acceleration on whatever Vantage unit you're using. Obviously, if you've got the new Kronish, she doesn't need that, but Brave Camilla does. And Brave Camilla, when she hits with that iceberg, is just, it's so nice. We talked about Hardy Fighter. Watch out for those. Watch out for your sweeps. I think you're going to see more of that. Again, you're going to see more creativity, but I would encourage you to explore Vantage. They've just given us some really nice choices to do so with. The last thing I want to talk about in Light and Dark Season is Yoon, and she's kind of been overshadowed because, well, Embla happened. And I mean, clearly Embla is the better mythic than Yoon and more influential, but that is not to put down the things that Yoon can do. And you're going to see her in this replay just absolutely demolish this Duma, and it is something to behold. But the thing you want to remember as you're going through these is Yoon also adds in debuffs, which can make it harder for player phase teams to attack you. Because again, as I'm telling you, you have to build a player phase team. Everyone else is thinking that as well. And on your defenses, you're going to have to start thinking about how to defend against those more and more. The big thing is, what's going to come out of Embla and these saves? More variety. It means you're not going to see the exact same things over and over again. And Summoners, that's a good thing. The last little note that I really need to hammer home is how important defensive saves have become because of all of these player phase strategies. Summoners, their value has skyrocketed, and until we get something like undefended on offense, you're going to be seeing them get priority treatment. Right now, Brave Edelgard is probably your best near savior in the game. Just make sure you have Deflect Melee on her. As far as far saviors, there is a range of units you can use. I obviously use Arden and think he's absolutely fantastic, but just know that you have options there. All right, let's get into Anima Astra season. So I had big plans to show you how amazing my Arval ball was. But I ran into this, and apparently this is a thing that you're going to see a lot of. And this is kind of the current version of today's armor ball. And you can see how heavily invested this team is, and I don't mean that in a way that they have a lot of merges, but in the way that they've done fodder to try to really emphasize the bulk on those armors. Both those armors have over 50 in both defense and res, and they have the additional guard and other buffs that come along with all the things that are going on. These are things that you're going to have to prepare for, and it is, you can see right here, I couldn't even Catria ball, or I couldn't even Elamine that Catria. Like this was, that's on turn 1. On turn 1, I couldn't do it. And Summoners, it's what we're going to be seeing a lot of up and coming. So I love that. Again, variety. Variety is the thing we are going to see more and more of. But understand, these are the types of teams you're going to have to be prepared to do. This is taking a Catria ball and taking it one step further, where its goal is just to sit back and watch you try to pick it apart. Much like armor balls of the past. We're going to see one of those, by the way, in just a second, but I want to move on and talk about hit and run for just a second. Hit and run is something that has been gaining momentum a lot. I haven't seen it be very successful though, but I have been told by a lot of folks that it works well for many, many teams. You can see this one works because it has so many merges. This is a team here. Good Lord. This is my only loss in this season, by the way, and I was not happy about it. This person really did an excellent job on this clear, though. I just have to say, as you're looking into these things, understand that you have got to run a very far ways away. And a lot of people, that is the mistake they make. They don't get far enough away from the team after they do their initial hit. Then they run away. What you want is the Catria ball to fall apart as it comes towards you, and then you can pick off units one by one and find a weak spot. It's much easier when you have a +10 Lina, though. One of the things that really makes this tick, though, and they're not using it here, but understand if you have stopped using Bolt Tower because Anima Astra was just so easy for you, bring it back. This is... Summoners, this is something that you are going to want to have available if you're running hit and run stuff. It makes things so much easier, and it makes your units, well, seemingly hit harder. I guess really they don't have to hit hard, but you understand how this is working. The last thing I want to talk about is just the absolute pure armor ball. And the reason I want to bring these up is not because they are hard to take out, because they're not, but you have to be prepared for them. In this one that you're watching, this was almost a mess because, to be completely honest with you, I thought my Camilla was just going to eat this thing for breakfast. I mean, an iceberg down the throat of Brave Hector who hadn't procced Aegis yet. Yeah, this was going to be easy, but it wasn't. So that's kind of the thing. These can sneak up on you very easily. You want to have some form of thing that's prepared for this. That can also be the team that's prepared for that double armor nonsense that you just saw. Just know that it needs to be in your wheelhouse and you need to be ready for it to come. The thing that we are seeing is this increase in the value of these defensive saviors, and that isn't going away in Anima season or Dark season anytime soon. But let's talk about a place where they aren't quite as good. So for Chaos Season, you're just going to see an across-the-board drop in saviors in general. I will say, don't forget that Elamine does stop what Embla does, but there are so many things that you have to stop with Elamine that things can get kind of problematic. Still, she is here, and she has changed just a ton of things. I have kept Cavs up here as on the rise. Understand what I'm really talking about here, though, is threat range. You don't want to just sit back and let someone take apart your Chaos defense, and that means you've got to be a bit creative. The Catria balls generally are not going to work here. There are just too many things that can be done to dismantle them, especially in the form of Elamine. That being said, we do have a lot of interesting things in the form of melee cav lines, ranged cav lines, Pathfinder shenanigans. All of these things can help you succeed. Ash as well can help with some mobility. Just understand that defense is going to be tough while we figure this out. And I don't know. Chaos Season for defense is just very, very difficult. We've been doing a lot of theory crafting in the Discord server. We don't have an answer just yet, and as things get closer, I'm hoping I do have some more solutions. But Summoners, we will see about that. Understand the one thing I do want you to remember is pot denial is a key strategy, but it gets harder with Sather being there. Sather is probably the best pot hound in the entire game because she can just shut units off. That is very powerful if you're trying to run around them and get a pot. Understand that as we're going through this and as you're looking at the new unit. The last mode I want to talk about is Summoner Duels, and understand the only reason that this is not crazy for Summoner Duels, that all these things have happened, is because every single week is crazy for Summoner Duels. I feel like every 2 weeks we have a complete turnover in the meta and things just drastically change. It's why you don't invest heavily in Summoner Duels units. You get them at +0, +1 and try to work with exactly what you have. There are a few exceptions, but by and large, that's the way it goes. Now, I do want to talk about Embla, and what you are seeing here is just this is a clinic on how to use Embla and what she can do. There are a lot of creative ways to implement her. The biggest thing, though, is she is also a really good nuke. What I would have liked to see from her is if she could take a hit and add in survivability to what she's doing. I think that would have really changed things. I wanted to put guard bearing on her, but unfortunately, guard bearing can't be put on beasts. So you're probably kind of going to be working on her base kit in Summoner Duels, or you're going to come up with something more creative. I don't know, Summoners. We are very, very new into Embla, but just look at the way she interacts with units like Harmonic Sonya. It is absolutely terrifying. I mean, just when I thought Harmonic Sonya was kind of tapering off because of Duma, no. She's still amazing. But yeah. One of the things here, though, is you are really going to want to emphasize threat range to make sure that you can keep the other team on its heels and try to keep them from attacking you with units like this. But good luck. Let's talk a little bit about glass cannons, though, because I couldn't figure out a good way to get this on the chart, but understand that glass cannons have dropped in value significantly. And the reason being, because there are so many ways to turn off saves, there are so many different ways to attack units, be it melee or ranged, you can't be covered at all times. So what it means is a lot of these units that just die very easily will get picked off easily. This miracle thing that they're putting in is absolutely phenomenal, and we've seen it with Brave Seliph. Like, I don't need to tell you how amazing it is, but understand that you should be putting more of a priority on dual phase units in Summoner Duels. One of those is Ascendant Tiki, and I think she is so slept on and absolutely phenomenal. You are seeing here her absorb an AoE from Brave Selef, and it is almost hilarious how easily she handles that. I ran into this all of this season. All of this Summoner Duel season, I ran into Ascendant Tiki being just amazing. But understand that having that frontliner, investing into them can be a lot of different units. Obviously, Asker's a good one. Dimitri is an excellent one. But the ones I like most have that bulwark effect on there. And that really changes things and kind of turns the tide and at least helps you keep units safe. It won't be an end-all be-all solution, but understand it does help a ton. The last thing I want to talk about, we went over threat range just a little bit, but Pathfinder has seen a resurgence in the way they've been orienting maps, and I absolutely love it. This is a configuration that was pioneered by Rayuna, and I've showed it a couple times on here, but I'm going back and saying that this is a lot of fun. I like it. I like how easily this strikes at the enemy and keeps you on the offensive. The problem with these types of strategies always, and we talked about this in the original video where we talked about the 3 different archetypes. Pathfinder strategies hit hard and fast, but if they run into a wall, you're just dead in the water. So understand that if you're using those types of teams, but I just have to say that I enjoy the way they work, and I think they play well into the type of meta that you're going to see. I also think that this type of team would work really well with a unit like Embla. Just summoners, keep on experimenting. There are some really fun things coming in Summoner Duels and probably some annoying things, but we'll see all of the above, right? So the last thing I want to talk about is investments and what you should be looking at in the coming months. Understand that when you're doing stuff like this, you really want to look at archetypes. But I have to stop here and say I was called on something last month, and I really needed to back up. What I originally had put this on was having these as units that you want as merge projects, and it was pointed out that merge projects are just for scoring, period. In the current meta, they don't really have a place unless you're trying to score for arena, and I don't cover any of that in here. What I do want to point out here is these are units that you want to give fodder to. These are units that deserve your love, and whatever premium fodder, you can bravely hand these out. The first one is Summer Edelgard, and this is a fantastic unit who just continues to gain value somehow. The ability to be both an enemy phase Far Savior, and I've seen her do that, although I don't think it's her best role, and also a Gale Force unit, which I think she is phenomenal at, and I've seen her win matches that she just has no business going up against. I think she will continue to increase in value, and Summoners, this is a unit that you give fodder to. This is a unit you don't necessarily have to merge her. +1 really does very well, but don't be afraid to give her all of your things and play with how she works. The next, I have Ascendant Tiki up here, and I think she's a great example, but you should be building a melee tank of some sort. There are lots of different ones right now. Flame Lyn is an example. Brave Dimitri is an excellent example and can be an Omni tank as well. You guys have seen how well he works in that role. Asker's good. I've even heard that Brave Tiki is good in this role, although I have not personally experienced that. Nothing against you Brave Tiki fans, I haven't seen her a lot, to be completely honest with you. But you should be building one of these, and I think Ascendant Tiki is a good one. You need something like that in your barracks right now. The next one up, units with neat gimmicks like Embla deserve your fodder. Honestly, as is, I think she has the absolute best skill she can possibly get. There are things you can play with her B skill, however, though, whether that be Wings of Mercy or some other kind of skill that helps you. The last one is Sather, and Summoners, we have yet to have a main OC that has been bad, and I don't think this is any exception. I think this unit, especially with a little love, will be absolutely phenomenal in all of your seasons, be that Summoner Duels or Aether Raids, Chaos or Astra. This unit is fantastic. Summoners, don't be afraid to invest in this unit. And I will say, if you are looking to advance your game, to really progress, this is a good unit to invest in because you will be able to spark her so many times if you do have Feh Pass. But you will have, this time, she will be on Mythic Banners, and she will also be in a rerun sometime around August. So understand that's coming, and those are many different times where you get a, I'll call it a free, but this is a Feh Passed unit. So it is easy to merge this type of unit up. Keep that in mind if you are progressing your account. Let me know in the comments who you are working on right now and who is your unit that you just absolutely love pouring fodder over. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHology just real soon.